Tennessee has a landlord-friendly tenant screening environment with minimal state-level regulation beyond the federal baseline. The state's overall regulatory approach favors property rights, and landlords in Tennessee have broad discretion in how they screen and select tenants. The governing framework includes the Uniform Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, found in Tennessee Code Title 66, Chapter 28, along with FCRA and the Tennessee Human Rights Act. Let's start with application fees. Tennessee does not cap application fees. There is no state statute limiting what a landlord can charge an applicant for tenant screening. Landlords can charge whatever amount they determine is reasonable to cover the cost of obtaining background checks, credit reports, and verification services. The Tennessee Uniform Residential Landlord and Tenant Act does not address application fee amounts or procedures. While there's no legal cap, Tennessee landlords should keep fees reasonable and consistent. Charging significantly more than the actual cost of screening can discourage qualified applicants and creates the appearance of using screening fees as a profit center rather than a legitimate cost recovery mechanism. Most Tennessee landlords charge between $25 and $50 per applicant, which is consistent with the actual cost of comprehensive screening reports. Criminal history screening in Tennessee is unrestricted at the state level. Tennessee does not have a ban-the-box or fair chance housing law. There are no state-level restrictions preventing landlords from asking about criminal history on the initial application. Landlords can inquire about arrests and convictions, can use criminal history as a screening factor without conducting a formal individualized assessment, and are not subject to state-mandated look-back period limits. No Tennessee municipality has enacted a local criminal history screening restriction for housing. Nashville, the state's largest city and the most politically moderate of the major metros, has not enacted ban-the-box housing provisions, nor have Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, or any other Tennessee city. The screening environment for criminal history is uniform across the entire state. Tennessee has enacted preemption legislation in several areas of landlord-tenant law, and the political environment makes it unlikely that individual cities will enact local screening restrictions that deviate from the state's market-based approach. However, HUD's 2016 guidance on criminal history and disparate impact applies in Tennessee. While Tennessee courts have generally been receptive to landlord rights, the federal framework still governs. Blanket policies that automatically reject every applicant with any criminal record can violate the Fair Housing Act if they disproportionately affect protected classes and lack legitimate business justification. Tennessee landlords who document their criminal history criteria and apply them consistently are in a stronger position than those who rely on undocumented automatic rejections. Source of income protection does not exist at the state level in Tennessee. Landlords are not prohibited from considering the source of an applicant's income when making screening decisions. Landlords can legally decline applicants who pay with housing choice vouchers, Social Security, disability payments, or other government assistance, as long as the decision isn't based on a protected characteristic under the Fair Housing Act. No Tennessee municipality has enacted a local source of income protection ordinance. This gives Tennessee landlords complete discretion over whether to participate in voucher programs. Many Tennessee landlords do accept vouchers, particularly in markets like Memphis, where a significant portion of the rental population receives housing assistance. But participation is voluntary rather than legally mandated. For credit reports, Tennessee follows standard FCRA requirements, permissible purpose, written consent, and adverse action notice procedures. Tennessee does not impose additional state-level requirements for credit report access, adverse action content, or notification timelines beyond the federal baseline. The standard FCRA adverse action notice, identifying the consumer reporting agency, stating that the agency didn't make the decision, and informing the applicant of their right to dispute and obtain a free copy, is sufficient. Tennessee's fair housing protections are found in the Tennessee Human Rights Act, Tennessee Code Title 4, Chapter 21. The Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and familial status, mirroring the Federal Fair Housing Act. Tennessee has not added additional protected categories such as sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, age, or source of income beyond the federal baseline. The Tennessee Human Rights Commission investigates fair housing complaints. While the state fair housing law mirrors federal protections, recent federal interpretations of sex discrimination under the Fair Housing Act may extend some protections based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Tennessee landlords should be aware that this area of law continues to evolve at the federal level regardless of state law. Tennessee does have a notable provision that affects the screening process indirectly. The state's Uniform Residential Landlord and Tenant Act includes strong protections for landlords when tenants engage in criminal activity on the premises. Under Section 66-28-517, landlords can pursue expedited eviction for drug-related criminal activity. This strong post-tenancy remedy doesn't reduce the importance of thorough screening, but it does provide landlords with a faster path to remove problem tenants if screening doesn't catch an issue. From a practical standpoint, Tennessee has one of the most dynamic rental markets in the Southeast, with several metros experiencing rapid growth and strong demand. Nashville is the state's dominant market and one of the fastest-growing cities in the country. Nashville's economy has diversified dramatically beyond its traditional music and entertainment roots to include healthcare. Nashville is the healthcare capital of America, with HCA Healthcare, Community Health Systems, and dozens of other major healthcare companies headquartered there. Technology, financial services, higher education, and a massive tourism industry. The Nashville metro, including surrounding communities like Franklin, Murfreesboro, Hendersonville, and Mount Juliet, has seen enormous population growth and significant rent increases. Nashville's applicant pool is diverse and generally strong. The city attracts young professionals, healthcare workers, tech employees, musicians, and corporate relocators. Landlords in Nashville generally have strong pricing power and can be selective. However, the rapid growth has also attracted significant new apartment construction, and competition from new inventory affects pricing power in some submarkets. Thorough screening remains important even in a strong market. High demand doesn't eliminate the risk of problem tenants. Memphis has a fundamentally different market dynamic than Nashville. Memphis' economy is driven by logistics. FedEx is headquartered there and is the region's largest employer. Healthcare, manufacturing, and international trade. Memphis has a higher poverty rate than Nashville and a larger proportion of tenants who rely on housing assistance. The rental market in Memphis is more affordable, and landlords deal with a wider range of applicant profiles. Screening in Memphis requires particular attention to consistency and documentation. The city's demographics mean that screening criteria have a higher likelihood of generating disparate impact claims if applied unevenly. Landlords in Memphis should ensure their criteria are documented, proportionate, and applied uniformly to every applicant. Knoxville, home to the University of Tennessee, has a market driven by the university, healthcare, including the University of Tennessee Medical Center, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and regional commerce. The student population creates seasonal turnover and a significant number of applicants with limited credit and rental history. Having a consistent cosigner or guarantor policy is essential for Knoxville landlords who serve the student market. Chattanooga has a growing market driven by technology. The city's municipal fiber optic network attracted significant tech investment, healthcare, manufacturing, and tourism. Chattanooga's rental market is more affordable than Nashville, but has seen strong growth. Clarksville, adjacent to Fort Campbell, home of the 101st Airborne Division, has a heavily military-influenced rental market. Fort Campbell straddles the Tennessee-Kentucky border, and military tenants represent a massive portion of Clarksville's rental market. Landlords near Fort Campbell must understand military income documentation, leave and earnings statements, BAH rates, and the Service Members Civil Relief Act. BAH rates for the Clarksville area are moderate and directly influence rental pricing. The deployment cycle creates regular turnover, and screening military applicants is a routine part of the Clarksville landlord's business. Murfreesboro, home to Middle Tennessee State University, has a student and growth-driven market. Johnson City, Kingsport, and the Tri-Cities area in northeast Tennessee have more affordable markets driven by healthcare and regional commerce. Jackson, Cookeville, and smaller Tennessee cities have moderate markets with more limited applicant pools. One best practice for Tennessee landlords Even though the state imposes virtually no screening restrictions, develop a written screening policy that documents your criteria. Specify your credit score threshold, income to rent ratio, rental history requirements, criminal history evaluation standards, and how you handle applicants with limited credit history. Apply these criteria to every applicant without exception. When every decision is based on documented criteria applied uniformly, you create a defensible record that protects you against any fair housing challenge. Another best practice, for landlords in the Nashville market, be aware that the rapid growth has attracted a significant number of applicants relocating from other states. Out-of-state applicants may have rental history and references from landlords in other markets, making verification slightly more complex. Have a reliable process for verifying out-of-state rental references and confirm that the person you're speaking with is actually the landlord or property manager and not a friend posing as a reference. For landlords near Fort Campbell, develop a military-specific screening checklist. Military applicants have standardized income documentation that's actually easier to verify than civilian income in many cases. The leave and earnings statement shows exact pay, deductions, and allowances. BAH is guaranteed income for the duration of the service member's time at the duty station. Understanding these documents streamlines your screening process for military applicants. Tennessee limits the security deposit to the equivalent of 1 month's rent under the Uniform Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. The landlord must return the deposit within 30 days of the tenant vacating, or within 10 days if the landlord doesn't intend to make any deductions. Failure to comply can result in liability for the entire deposit plus penalties. The 1-month deposit cap means thorough screening is your most important financial protection. You have limited ability to recoup losses from a problem tenant through the deposit alone. For the complete guide to Tennessee tenant screening laws, visit tenantscreeningbackgroundcheck.com. Subscribe to our channel for every state in our tenant screening law series.